Ember is the quintessential Fireframe. She is the first, the one everybody talks about. Sadly, she was also the one that was nerfed the hardest. Absolute abysmal nerf. She's worse than 90% of the frames in the game. And just last year alone, 2 Warframes came out that were heat-based, Temple and Uriel. And both of them outshine Ember by miles, especially Uriel. Ever since he came out, people have been talking nonstop about whether Ember is even a viable frame to even play anymore. Now, the first thing that people don't like about her, aside from the fact that the nerf was just so horrendous it outright killed her, is that her survivability is horrible. Immolation, you have to build this up, and whatever percent the bar is at is your percentage of damage reduction. So at 90% maximum, you can have 90% damage reduction. That's fine, that's pretty basic. The only problem is once you get to 90%, you start slowly losing energy. A constant drain on your energy is absurd, especially when you need 90% damage reduction for the majority of the game, and then having that pretty much drains all your energy instantly is kind of just crazy. But beyond that, her passive, if you didn't know, gives you 5% ability strength for every enemy in your affinity range afflicted by heat. This is actually pretty good. This is pretty good passive. You can get like 200% extra ability strength from this alone, meaning you don't have to build up your ability strength too high for her. You can rely on your passive pretty well. It means you can easily get up to 400% ability strength with a decent build. Now, even with the Zero Forma build, this is a pretty basic, not good, decent build, you know. You don't even need Precision Intensify. In fact, you're probably better off with normal Intensify and then swapping out one of her abilities for Roar or something. Maybe Gloom to increase your survivability. But with this build, you can easily get up to 400% ability strength. Over here, it's going to be only 100% because I'm in the Simulacrum, but let's say your usual gameplay, you cast 2 Immolation to get your damage reduction, and then you cast 1 or 4 to slowly start building up your Immolation meter to allow you to get not only damage reduction, but just damage in general. Because once your Immolation bar gets to 90%, what you're going to want to do is stand in the middle of as many enemies as possible, cast 3 Fire Blast to armor strip all the enemies. This is pretty much what she's known for now, just armor stripping. But even at 300% ability strength, you pretty much do no damage even to level 200 enemies. It's basically just absurd. It's the fact that even if you got that 200%, you'd feel like you're doing nothing to enemies in Steel Path, even if you armor strip them. It makes it more so along the lines that she's better off as a gun platforming frame than anything, even though none of her abilities really work for that other than armor stripping. She's supposed to be an ability-based frame, and her abilities fall short of pretty much any weapon out there. And let's not even get started on her comparison between any of the other frames. Like I said, Uriel is just Ember, but 1,000 times better. Temple does what Ember does, but better as well. And as you can see, just standing here, my energy is constantly draining. I have on Primed Flow, but even with Primed Flow on, if you have Immolation at 90%, you're only going to have damage reduction for about 2 minutes, and that's tops, which means you're going to have to constantly be micromanaging your energy, which means you're going to be micromanaging your own survival, because like I said, Immolation, that is pretty much your only form of survivability. You need that 9% damage reduction just to be able to survive most things. So she struggles to scale in high level content, and she pretty much has no unique strengths or ease of use that's found in literally every other Warframe. Her older playstyle, I'm sure many of you are aware, was World on Fire. It was pretty passive playstyle, but at least it could nuke properly. Her new playstyle, you can't really nuke unless you invest heavily into it, and even then it's going to fall short of a base Uriel or Temple build, which leads to just simply better alternatives for frames. So I know I went pretty quickly. So essentially the reason people don't like her is she has high maintenance survivability and rather conflicting abilities. If you saw properly, her third ability, Fire Blast, though it does armor strip the enemies, it does push them around and knock them down. Her passive requires them to be within your affinity range. That means you have to be up close and personal with enemies to have full maximum ability strength. You're essentially just throwing away ability strength when you cast this. And then naturally she has poor late game scaling. As I mentioned in Steel Path, her abilities fail to deal just the raw damage needed to kill an enemy. Even though armor stripping is useful, her abilities can't even kill an armor stripped enemy, which is kind of just absurd. And then simply there are better alternatives. There's Protea, Jade, Temple, Uriel, Neja, all fire-based frames. And with that being said, that's pretty much just about it. Naturally, there are reasons people love her too, but I'll get into that in a different video. I don't want this video to be too long, but as I'm sure most of you are aware, it's mostly her fashion. And with that being said, that's just about it. Until next time.